Pcpndt Mtp Overlap. This is the talk given to me. Where do these acts overlap each other? Now, do they really overlap? Is there any overlap? Or is it just a created or perceived overlap between the Pcpndt and Mtp Act? Now, according to me, the objectives of the two acts are quite separate. The Pcpndt Act has been enacted for regulation of PNDT procedures and tests. What does it prohibit is, it prohibits determination and communication of sex of unborn child and prohibition of sex-related abortion. While the Mtp Act is an enabling act. It provides for termination of pregnancies under certain conditions. And sex-selective abortion is not an indication under the Mtp Act. So where is the overlap? The important points under Mtp Act is, it does not confer any right to the woman to terminate pregnancies at her will. Though we use the indication of failure of contraception whenever there is a request for Mtp, but as of today, it is not at choice. The Mtp has to fit into one of those indications, only then you can do an Mtp. And what is important under Mtp is, the opinion is formed by the doctor. The doctor certifies that in my opinion, it is necessary to terminate the pregnancy of this patient. So if the final onus is on the doctor, who is certifying that it is necessary to terminate the pregnancy. So what is the point of contention, or where is the overlap? Now, sex determination can occur usually in the second trimester. So NIPT is not our NIPT, ultrasound, amniocentesis, CVS, etc. during pregnancy can determine the sex, but it is in the second trimester. So when PNDT prohibits sex determination, it also regulates and it allows determination of sex where there is sex-linked genetic disorders and congenital anomalies of the genitalia. You can definitely write whatever is the anomaly. You can, whenever there is a sex-linked disorder like Duchenne's muscular dystrophy, you can definitely do a amniocentesis or CVS to rule out whether this baby is suffering or not. So it does not prohibit, there is not a blanket prohibition. It is only to prevent sex determination and sex determination leading to feticide. Now the overlap comes here. Basically, this is the opinion of the government. There was a circular issued in August 2013, especially true with the Maharashtra government. What they say is, second trimester MTPs are intentionally reported as first trimester MTPs. This is the opinion of the government. This is a circular which has been published by the Maharashtra government and supplied to all appropriate authorities. And they also say, with increasing use of mifepristone and misoprostol, artificial indications of termination of pregnancies are created. And since after using these tablets, patients present with missed abortions, inevitable abortions, or IUFDs, they are not reported under MTP. And there is a possibility that such terminations could be after sex determination. And after this circular was issued in 2013, there was an amendment under the Pcpndt Act. And under the code of conduct of the appropriate authorities, they have added this line there. Code of conduct to be observed by the appropriate authority under Rule 18A 5V inserted on 24/2/2014, that the appropriate authority has the duty to ensure that there shall be no violations of the provisions of the Mtp Act 1971. So how does the appropriate authority see that there is no violation of the Mtp Act? He has to inspect the Mtp record. So this has created that overlap between the Pcpndt and Mtp Act. Now in effect, what has happened? So these are the instructions after that circular which have been given. Cases with intrauterine deaths, inevitable abortions, incomplete abortions at the centers should be monitored and investigated. Whether they are illegal, whether it is actually an Mtp, by giving tablets it has been converted into a missed abortion, incomplete abortion, inevitable abortion, so that you miss reporting under the Mtp Act. And possibility of sex determination should be ruled out. duration of pregnancy should be ascertained, indication of termination should be verified, so regulations of maintenance of documents should be checked. So these are the instructions to the appropriate authorities. So this is where that overlap is occurring. So initially they were forcing us to report all the incomplete abortions, inevitable abortions. It was because of this. They were linking this to illegal MTPs, and that is why they were forcing us to report all this under the MTP Act. Now, even the checklist for inspections of the appropriate authorities mention they have to find out number of MTP performed for patients with previous female children, number of USG performed with MTP in patients previously having female children. This is all what the person who is coming to inspect has to see. The complete check of documentations of such patients as regard to the length of pregnancy and indication for termination. So these instructions have come from the government itself, and appropriate authorities are trying to implement this, and this is creating a lot of fear. So what is the result of such implementation? Almost majority of us have stopped doing second trimester abortions unless there is a major congenital malformation. Sometimes even first trimester terminations are denied to the patient who are having previous female children. No, I will not do it here, go somewhere else. I am scared to do this. Now, deserving patients are denied services. And there is a problem because the MTP Act was an enabling act, and it was enacted because mothers were facing illegal abortions because abortion was a crime. They were doing it illegally and they were facing deaths, they were facing morbidity. And now we are pushing these patients back to that. So deserving patients are being denied services, and we are going back to the era where pregnancies were terminated illegally. So what can we do? As you know, there are strict instructions to the appropriate authority. Pcpndt Act as such is a very strict act. So you have to maintain MTP data properly. You have to maintain the data of abortions, not under the MTP Act, but separately. The inevitable abortions which you have carried out, the IUFDs which you have treated. So all these three things, the MTP data, the data of abortions you have carried out in your hospitals, the PCPNDT data, you have to maintain all this data very scrupulously so they don't find any fallacy in it. Undertake termination of pregnancies with caution, especially in cases with previous female children. Now remember, the MTP Act does not give any right to the patient to undergo MTP. It is the opinion formed by the doctor that it is necessary to terminate the pregnancy. So the onus lies on you. Every MTP you have carried out, you have to prove that it was necessary to terminate the pregnancy, and that is why you have done it. So try and gauge if the case is a genuine one, especially if the patient comes with a history of previous female children. You have to be alert, you have to be conscious whether this case is a genuine case, whether you will be able to defend yourself later if you go ahead and do an MTP in this patient. And report to appropriate authorities about patients inquiring about sex determination tests. This is how you can come clean, and you help the authorities, and you are less likely to be questioned if any of these patients you have done an MTP genuinely. Otherwise, even genuine cases, there will be a doubt, and they will keep asking for records and strictly. There was a chart which the Maharashtra government has circulated, how to keep records of abortion cases, inevitable abortions, missed abortions. There is a register which they have made called as the evacuation register. It is there on the website. I had downloaded it, but somehow it is not opening here. So you maintain a separate account of all the abortions which do not fall under the MTP, so that you can show all the record to them, and they are quite confident that nothing wrong is happening here, and you are very willing to cooperate with this. So this is where there is an overlap between the PCPNDT Act and the MTP Act, and that is why they were initially forcing us to report all those inevitable abortions under MTP, so that they do not miss the